All right,
Hope it
here we
goes well over
go.
there.
We are
Oh, look,
preparing
being
to
live
live
streamed.
stream.
Wow.
There's like a progress bar,
Oh,
pizza
I
tracker.
can't see it. Pizza track.
All right, we did it. Here we are. It worked.
Okay.
My
It
computer is still here. This meeting is streaming. Thank you all for being here.
Cheers.
No problem.
One
Glad
of you
nothing's
had
on
no
fire.
Yeah, she wouldn't let me say no, guys.
Think twice if you're okay.
Sorry, the funniest clip just came up that NBC Olympics tweeted of just a pack of Olympic race walkers. It is
It's
the
the best.
funniest
God.
thing I've ever seen. I've
I
actually
had-
watched it, but this clip, I'm gonna send to you this clip. It's like a flock of flamingos.
It's just like it's like a herd.
isn't it?
It's my
Yeah.
favorite.
I had to turn it off earlier because I had like just gotten done with work, and I was like, I can't. It's too much. Like, I'm
Can't
not
do
ready.
this
You
right
can
now.
watch it.
That was too much. But oh, it's so good. Here's the question I had earlier that I asked Leslie: how do you tell your friends you're a competitive race walker?
I feel like they already know.
How do
They
you
just get
like
that kind of vibe
Mm.
from you.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to the Olympics. What
I,
what
I,
event are
I
you in?
bet
You're
you're
like
a
Olympic
competitive race
walking.
walker. You
Well,
seem
like
like
I
the
feel like
type.
if you're into race walking, like you have to be all about race walking. Like there's no like halfway in on that.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say, I'm
that's
pretty sure you like your friends are also race walkers. Like that's your circle of people. Like
Man.
there aren't too many other people outside that are gonna be like, oh neat, tell me more about that.
I don't think you're wrong. Yeah, that's upsetting to my brain for some reason, but I love it at the same time.
I remember the first time I saw Olympic race walking, I like Googled it because I was like, what on earth is going on? And I found the rules where it's
Oh,
like
God,
you
rules.
literally can get like yellow cards and penalties for like
Mhm.
having both feet off the ground at the same time, which is like technically you're jogging, you're trotting. And I
Yeah,
was
you
like,
break out into a jog. It's really frowned upon in the
Mhm.
race walking community. We don't do
Apparently,
that.
though, like everyone cheats. There was, I think I'll have to find it, like some study that came out like a few years back where they asked like when people aren't looking, do you jog? And they were all like, yeah, absolutely.
That's
The
what makes
seedy
it so
underbelly of
funny.
race walking.
Jeez, I know, right? That's what makes it so funny. They're like, how are you supposed to race when all you can do is walk?
You got a
It's
top
so
speed.
funny.
Oh man.
crazy.
I need
What
to
a
find
mess.
this- I need to find this clip because I feel like looking at something funny.
Yes.
At least
Andre
we
DM'd it
have
to you.
we have the
So
race
funny.
walking to
Oh, there
make
it
us
is.
feel better.
Yes, we need it.
Good God.
I don't know if we're actually live, dear.
Uh-oh.
No?
Oh,
I'm looking
it
at
could
the
be.
YouTubes in an incognito window, but I also got a message saying we went live. So I don't know
Oh,
if there's someone watching and they can see
I
this.
mean,
Say something in the chat and tell me that I'm wrong.
if you're out there,
Just saying.
everything says it's working. But if it's not working, please let us know.
Yeah. Or if it is working, let us know. 'Cause that would also be great. Either.
communicate one way or the other.
Yeah. Oh man.
Can we get a hell yeah?
No.
I mean, we're recording. It's fine. It's someone
fine.
someone will have it somewhere. We'll live. But speaking of messes, the U.S. Women's National
What a
Team.
transition. What a transition.
Love it.
That's my wife.
The U.S. Women's National Team won bronze this morning. Still really only playing with 19 players out of 22, amazingly.
I slept in.
Why
I
are we-
did not get
why
up
are we doing
early.
that?
We talked about it. We debated last night. Like, you're like, I don't know if I feel like getting up for this one. And I was like, well,
I'm
how are
glad
you
they
going to feel if you
scored.
miss it? Yeah.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
glad they made it worth the while.
it was the official stance of Diaspora United to prioritize sleep for this one. So we decided that was enough 4 a.m.s, especially I understand the purpose of the Australia game, But making me get up at 4 a.m. for that was just like, all right, if you don't turn things around real quick, I'm not doing that again. And things were not turned around. So
it would have been, yeah, I think for me it would have been my either third or fourth 4 a.m. wake up within like a week or 8 days or something. And I was like, no, because anytime I wake up at 4 a.m. and I can't, and I like, if I leave my bed, because we're all doing on my laptop, so then if I leave my bed and go on the couch, that means I'm sleeping on the couch to like catch up, and it just does not work. And then I try to take a nap midday, and I wake up always feeling terrible. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
No, I came out one morning, I think, because like I had gone back to sleep, but Leslie stayed up, and I came out and she was just draped over the side of the couch, asleep, half sitting, half leaning. And then later tried to convince me that counted as a nap. And I said, no, that wasn't restful
I
sleep.
got like, that was like a solid hour and a half of like couch arm time. It was amazing. I had a puppy in my lap. I was rested and rejuvenated for the rest of the day.
I think my only good nap was after the Sweden loss, actually, because I was like, well, it's like 6 a.m., 6:10, and I was like, all right, and literally slept till like 8:45 and woke up and started my 9 to 5.
Oh,
Well, we got that out of the way.
I couldn't sleep after that one. I tried.
I think I was just annoyed, and I was like, I'm already, because I was the one I didn't leave bed for, so I was just like still in bed, just rolling over and passed out, and it was so nice. And then after another game, I can't remember what it was, but I just literally I discovered that there was like a big gap between the matches. It was like an hour or something, and I was like, oh, and like literally was that gif of like a person jumping in bed and they like slide under the covers and the covers go over them. That was me, and I passed out and then slept through the next match. So
Yeah.
that's beautiful. Well, congrats to everyone on making it through all of that. We did it.
We did it. I want a bronze medal.
Yeah, at least. At least. I mean, we woke up for some of those games, but I don't know if they did. So I'm just saying some people should have to.
maybe it was just the heat that like kind of just kept them like just, when it's like really hot outside, so you just kind of like get lulled to sleep. Maybe that's what happened.
Like a turtle, like under a light.
A lot of
Exactly
big turtle energy from the team.
Really the takeaway from the Olympics.
Yeah, it really was.
Good news. We have a new mascot. The bad news.
Not all that terrifying.
Oh man. Least intimidating. Ooh, I don't know. What is the least intimidating mascot that you can think of? Like that a team actually has right now?
The Fighting Okras.
Ooh, that's a good one.
No, it's like a college team. I don't know why. I remember
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about the
André
worst mascots.
Oh my god.
And one of them is the Fighting
How quickly you came out with that.
One of them is the
not
Fighting
ready.
Okras. And I was like, I'm never forgetting this, because like think about, big football game, huge moment, trying to get the crowd wild, and you look over and there's just an okra.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've looked it up officially. It's the Delta State Fighting Ogres. Their mascot.
I really thought we were gonna get stuck on that question for a little while, but I think Courtney just won it. So
Yeah.
like I don't have
That's
anything to
that.
compare.
Just came
to
out the
okra.
gate.
just straight up
It's
okra.
one of the nuggets in the back of my brain that I keep. The Fighting
Open-handed.
Okras.
Thank you.
Well, that thank you for answering that
I mean,
question and resolving that. We
do
can
have,
move on.
like, I have a pocket one, but it's not that good.
I know. I was gonna say I had a couple, but then like like they just don't match up now. Like Fighting Okra.
Yeah, like a banana slug, whatever.
Yeah.
Fighting
Just
okra. That's
okra.
it.
An okra. And a single. Like you don't even get like multiple, so they can choking hazard
one
or
okra.
something. Like
One-
yeah, just
one
a
okra.
single,
One
a
okra.
single okra.
Is the
least-
plural of okra okra though?
No.
No. I'm assuming there's an S at the end.
Okras?
Okras?
feels weird to me.
It
I'm not
does
gonna
feel
lie.
weird.
So like,
But to be fair, their mascot is just a guy, so I think we can go with that. He is wearing boxing gloves, so that's
Jesus.
is he
Fierce.
wearing boxing gloves in an oak costume?
Yeah.
Is that like the that gives me so much joy.
it's a lot. He looks like a jalapeno, basically.
Oh, I see it now. They need to sell
Yeah.
merch.
Right? I think this is my favorite picture of him. I don't know. I'm gonna throw it in the chat. I wish I could share it on the screen, but someone disabled screen sharing.
Oh yeah,
It's fine.
somebody's
That's probably for the best.
control.
The
Safety
fact
first.
that this is even up and running is a miracle in itself, and we're just gonna have to be okay with that.
I can't make this my new Twitter photo, but if I should make this my new Twitter photo.
Mhm.
Either that or my favorite guy from El Chiringuito, but
Oh yes. We need one of those for the US women's national team.
y'all should create one.
Really.
Y'all should
It needs to be
that for
done.
the US women's national team. They give me so much joy. My man in the shadows always coming out to start the show. It's so deeply dramatic. Joy.
My favorite one was when he just sat in silence for over a minute. He just sat there as the countdown clock was going. The commitment to the bit without like his no expression change or nothing, just sitting there staring at the camera. Like I would eventually get like nervous or like anxious or something, or I'd have to say something just to break up some sort of tension. But he was just perfect, just smooth, just waiting for the clock to give him his cue when it hit up triple zeros. I was mesmerized. I cannot tell you how many times I watched that and just loved it.
Dedicated to the craft.
Yes, absolutely. We
I love
need
to
one of
see it.
those.
We do need one of them.
We need something.
Anything.
Because this wasn't it. This
Wasn't
game wasn't it. I don't know. I think this game was slightly better in terms of play than the lead ups, but still not good by any means.
Right.
And the roster choices continue to baffle, I think, is the best word I've got.
Let me tell you, if I would have gotten up at 4 a.m. and seen that lineup, I would have went right back to bed.
I almost did.
Mhm.
If I hadn't been vertical, I would have gone back. Once my feet were out, I was like, okay, we're going. It's fine. We'll make it.
Yeah, it was not, well, I was about to say it's not what I expected, but given very recent history, it kind of was what I expected. But I just don't, I still don't see the thought process. Yeah, I don't. And it's frustrating because if you remember, like Australia played Sweden tough, right? But
Mhm.
they were exhausted. Like half their starting lineup was questionable for that match. So Australia was struggling and they played.
And they lost Ellie Carpenter.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
didn't have Ellie Carpenter for the match, which was, should have been a massive advantage. And yeah, you score 4 goals. You also give up 3 and could have been more.
Definitely
Mhm.
could have been more.
Yeah. Yeah. The midfield just was not. I do not like the midfield questions. And this is why we all have Crystal Dunn love. People forget she is a midfielder. People forget.
Mhm.
So when you're having midfield problems, the lie of sorry, midfield we just can't fit her in. When you're having midfield problems, that lie no longer works.
Not at all.
No, like we were fine, like taking. I mean, we weren't, but like we were like okay when things were working. Like
Right.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sort of.
Mhm.
All right, but still weren't happy about it. And now you've got no excuse. Why not start changing things if it's not working? What do you have to lose at that except for bronze medal, I guess? But
I feel like that was the thing that we've seen over the course of the Olympics was like things are broken. Things broke somehow. I don't know how. Like I'm still baffled at the overall lack of chemistry because I'm like, people were like, oh, it's
Right.
rotating lineups. But I'm like, this team though, has played
Who
together
snatched?
for literally the past probably 2 years. Like it's been the same people in camp, like, maybe a few extras coming in and out, but the same core of the team, and y'all still can't pass the ball.
You cannot get it from one person to the other, and you've known each other.
They don't know
for
each
10
other.
years.
So I'm like, look, something broke. Go fix it.
What
I
do you
think
think
that
it
was
is?
the main thing, is that it was noticeable that something was wrong, and I can't name a single like thing that was done as an attempt to fix it. That's what scares me. I'm like, we all see there are identifiable problems, and I don't see them being addressed. Maybe they were addressed in training by just telling somebody, no, you play like this instead of this, but that wasn't getting through. So we didn't see anything else, and you had plenty. Thank you to Serena Weigman, who gave you plenty of options. But
Didn't
we would
use
not
them.
be here without Lynn. Not be here.
That Netherlands
true.
game, that Netherlands game was she needed to be there, and they got that right. Then took her off too early, which was special.
Playing for penalties in the 57th minute.
And then Kelly O'Hara just decides to give a penalty in the 80th minute, so that was exciting. Yeah, I feel like people forget that. Like, this team actually was lucky to get to the bronze medal match, honestly.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
like we needed 3 penalty saves from Alyssa Nair, which, thank you, shout out to her. But
No goalie should be expected to do that.
right,
That's too many.
that doesn't seem like the game plan.
Yeah, I feel like
No, it was always the plan.
What was the plan?
we're just gonna have heroics. Yeah. Let's bank on having heroics.
It's always what you want to go into the game with. You're ready to save penalties, right? Okay, good. Sounds good. Very
But
strange.
we're not going to bring Ashlyn Harris, who's been great at saving penalties. It's fine.
Yes.
Just questions. Just questions.
I want to see in the notebook now. Before I was.
I need to
not
know what's in
knowing
that
what was in the notebook, but I have so much.
I think it's like one of those like magic coloring books where there's like nothing in it at this point. Like I don't think there's anything in there.
Just a little bit of busy work to keep his mind occupied.
All the memes of him in the notebook, and it's just scribbles.
Yeah, it's just.
What if
I
hollowed out and he just has like a bag of peanut M&Ms in there that he's just snacking on through.
It's just snacks.
Yeah.
Right,
No, it's just snacks.
I don't have any notes.
That's
Sorry,
a list
guys.
of his favorite halftime snacks.
Sorry, guys. I don't have any answers, but if you want a peanut M&M,
will this make you smile?
Look, maybe that was the change. He said, guys, if we win this match, I'll give you all peanut M&Ms. And then they were like, yes. And that's what happened. The secret to the bronze medal match.
You got to motivate your players.
Oh,
It's either that, or I think, honestly, there was low-key a fight, and then they finally got over it, and then they're like, fine, we'll pass the ball to each other. That's my conspiracy theory now.
I'm on board with this theory of something happened. Like there was a conversation or needed to be a conversation. It didn't happen. And then maybe it felt serious by the time we got to the bronze medal match. If they're like, oh shit, we can lose. Okay. We'll put it together for this last one.
Well, wasn't that like, didn't Pino almost say exactly that after the match? She said like we had options. We could either play shitty or we could go there and play for real. And I'm like, well, if it was just a switch.
Well, they have that switch. They can just turn it on whenever they want
apparently.
to.
I don't know why they delayed it if it's that simple. It was very strange. It kind of, in listening to, and I have no inside information. I'm just going to put that out there. This is all tea leaves business and just looking at trying, like, whatever happens and trying to come up with answers because I have none.
We're all trying to find answers.
Exactly.
We have none. No one has them.
We have nothing. So the only thing I can really like kind of think of, because of some of the things Vlatko has said, about the older players, it seems like he leaned on them to like, because he has no, major international tournament experience. And he leaned on them and basically was like, you guys know how to do this. I'm going to go into the tournament leaning heavily on you guys and anticipating that you know how to play in these tournaments. You know how to get results in these tournaments. And, I'm probably going to make mistakes, but I really need you guys to step up. And they didn't/couldn't. And the question is, why couldn't they? But I also think that, part of that is because the team is old and been in dire need of a refresh. And if you don't, like Pino said, they didn't have that joy. What brings you that joy? It's not people who have been around forever who kind of like, this is my job. Like, this is what I have to do, gotta go, and plus you feel the expectations heavily in those instances too. Whereas a young player wants to go out there and, not saying they don't want to, the older players don't want to go out there and excel, but a young player goes out there with like almost no fear. They don't feel the fear of the expectation. They go out there and play loose. They go out there and try stuff. They do fun stuff. They open things up. They find those spaces. They make that extra run. They turn that 50-50 into a 60-40. All those little sports cliches is kind of what younger players, a more vibrant team would do. And they didn't because they're old.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
They're
like
tired.
Yeah.
And tired.
Well, I also feel like part of it, because I remember I was listening on Attacking Third and then read a piece. I can't remember who wrote it, but like where Lori Lindsay was quoted, and she was nervous about how much time the team was spending together, just from like pre the Olympics and the send-off series and then actual Olympics. And I was like, this chemistry thing being off, I get it.
Yeah.
Like not being able to, explore Tokyo, which like obviously none of the athletes could do, but not even being in the village and consistently in a bubble. Like, I get it. If I spent that much time with that many people for such a long time, I'd be like, hey, get away from me, please.
Absolutely. Like the amount of time together, plus you've taken all the exciting parts out of the Olympics. You're not around the other athletes. You don't get to go to opening ceremonies. You don't get to explore the city. You don't have like the new kids with the fresh eyes who are like, I'm at my first Olympics. Like, mom, look at me. You don't have your family there rooting you on. Like, it's gotta feel so much more like work than that joy that was so missed.
Yeah, and I think also, you mentioned like, the whole like get away from me. I feel like that's how the midfield played. Like, everybody kind of did their own thing away from each other. Like Lindsay Horan took her spot up, in the left, basically left forward position and just kind of stood there. Didn't do a whole lot of dropping back to help like connect passes. Sam was really kind of out of sorts, just kind of chilling on the right. And Julie Ertz was running around out there, still doing her thing, but again, injured, recovering from an MCL sprain that just happened a couple months ago. And then you also have like the one player I really actually want to shout out though, because a lot of performances were not good, but Rose Lavelle had
100%.
a really good tournament. Not just in terms of staying healthy throughout the whole thing, but defensive work. She was all over the place. Like when she was in there with Julie Ertz, it was like Julie could actually like breathe a little bit. Like every now and then before a player would get to her, Rose would be like, all right, the ball's mine, or I'm going to put in a challenge. I'm going to put in a tackle. And Julie was not like used to that in this tournament. And so like Rose was trying to like, you could see, I felt bad for her a lot of times because she was trying to like, let's pass the ball this direction. Let's go attack. Let's do this. But she couldn't do what we know her, what she's capable of doing, dribbling up the center of the pitch and terrorizing the Dutch. We know that that's how she rolls, but she couldn't do that because she had so many other responsibilities. And shout out to her, she was doing them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like also even the times where she did try to do that, like she would get around a player, like everyone else was like 5 yards behind her, and you could see like, especially sometimes they would cut her and she would look at them like, literally, what are you bozos doing? Like, why aren't you with me right now? I feel like that was also the one consistent thing I saw was she was like, where are the rest of you? Why are you 25 yards behind me? I want to go score a goal.
Was that the Sweden match when we first saw that? She like took off on one of her signature runs and then she was looking around like, it's almost like
where
that.
Where are you?
Just because I just watched this movie again for no reason. It was like
John
on TNT
Travolta
or whatever. But it was like the Dark Knight, right? When like he's running the punt return up and the whole like in stadium, like the field is just like imploding behind him.
Oh,
and
yep.
he's at the end, he's just kind of standing around, looking around. That was Rose. She just looked around like, did everybody fall into a sinkhole? Where are you?
Yeah, she was amazing. It was nice to see just someone want to do good things. Like she got on the field and was like, yes, I want to win this game. I don't know about the rest of you, but I would like to take this ball and put it in that net. Let's do that. What do you guys think about that? How where are we on that?
We've done that a few times. Can we do it again?
Yeah.
You bored? You bored with it? Okay, fine.
You guys don't want to do that anymore? Okay, that's fine. I'll go home.
Yeah, I'll just play defense. I guess that's what we're doing now. Fine. I'll be a 6, which makes no sense.
Fundamentally, the dual 6s.
Yeah.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
So many 4-2-3 ones. Explain why. Why? My favorite vine is that preacher saying why me this entire tournament, but especially with those dual 6s.
Yeah.
I was like, you're taking always shout out to Vine, RIP, but also like, hey, if you wanted to play dual 6s, why don't just bring another one? I know. Rocket science.
Let's not
Rocket
be
science.
reasonable here. Like that makes
Imagine
too much
a world
sense.
where you had 2 6s and you brought them on your roster and you played them in the game. What if though?
Whoa.
Imagine a world where your usual number 6 sprains her MCL 2 months before the tournament. And imagine
she plays the whole thing.
that she plays the rest of every single minute
Whole
except for the
tournament.
first 45 minutes. Imagine that, because you don't bring another 6. Because the whole time everybody's asking you, okay, who's gonna kind of take up that role if Julie can't go? And you say, Lindsay Horan can do it. And then we see in a lot of matches that she can't. And then she lasts 45 minutes against Sweden, and that never happens again.
I feel like that was the thing too. Everyone was like, so many people were like, oh yeah, Lindsay Horan totally works as a 6. And we were like, no, she doesn't. This is not gonna work. Like 2 send-off series games, which also, even though the U.S. women's national team won those games, there were several moments where Mexico just cut us fully open through the midfield. Yep. And everyone was like, this is fine. And I was like, the fire's like brewing in the corner. Right. And then y'all are going to look up and all of a sudden it's going to be all around. And all around, that was a Sweden game.
So is now a time to have a Lindsay Horan conversation?
Yes, I would like that.
Is it time? Is it time?
Just why? What is it? I'm new. I'm still kind of new to this roster of players. You know, I have a U.S. women's national team of old in my brain. So I'm still kind of new to like Lindsay Horan being like the future face of the U.S. women's national team. So when I'm watching this tournament, I'm like, what? This one. Okay. Prove it. I see her on the thorns and like she's good, but
I mean, she came in after Abby was kind of on her way out, and I think there was an opportunity for her to be that like physical offensive player and like take the headers and like own that space, and it never happened. And since then, she's kind of been tried in a few different places and dropped back and back and back a little bit, and it's never quite clicked.
I think about 2019 World Cup when everyone was like, why isn't she playing? But it was like, we keep winning and like dumb and like, you know, heavy, I call it heavy metal soccer. Like, and then I saw, I think it was, I can't remember which game. I mean, technically we saw it a few times, but the midfield trio, or it was probably Sweden actually, of her, Roosevelt and Julie Ertz. And I was like, even though there weren't tactics then, I get it. I see why it was Sam, Rose, and Julie. I understand now.
I think that's one of the most frustrating things is that now we're going to have to like say, fine, Jill, you got that one right. You're making me apologize to Jill Ellis. Makes me upset. Why can't you just see the thing that was most frustrating is that like, okay, Lindsay, you have to play like a midfielder now. You're not basically another 10. You're not basically another wide forward. You're not just an option in the box. Like, I know that's like the best part of her game. It's not the only part of her game, but for some reason she wouldn't do it. She wouldn't stay in those, like she wouldn't just play midfield. Like, no, we need you to be in midfield. You need to be back. You can't be up there. This is why, again, and yes, I will belabor the point until the point is thoroughly made. Crystal Dunn was the option for that because she will play that role. She knows how to play that role. And she's also a tremendous attacking player as well. And so, like, and she knows she's a very intelligent player. So, and I think she doesn't get credit for that at all. She kind of knows what the game needs. If you can't move the ball, she's going to try and be an outlet to move the ball and spread it around and get it to where it needs to go so that the attack can move forward. And Lindsay was not doing that. She wasn't finding those pockets, finding those spaces to where, because that's kind of the thing. If you're an attacking midfielder and they're stressing, really pressing you in midfield and squeezing you, what you want to do then is go down there, get the ball, move it up, either wide, and then you get yourself into the box. Like, you can do that. It's a thing you can do. But instead, she was just like, I'm just gonna hang out here and wait for it. It was like, it's not happening. Please understand that this is part of your responsibility here. And so, like, I was disappointed with her performance because I think she can play that role. Why she wasn't is a very interesting question.
I also think about okay, she's on the U.S. women's national team, which for the most part, like, controls games, high pressing, very possessive. And then I think, well, what does her other team at Portland do? High pressing, possessive, controls games. So it's also like, to me, she also doesn't have that experience either at the club level or at the international level of like, whoa, all of a sudden we're on our toes. And it's not even just like we're on our toes for 10 minutes. Like, hey, we're on our toes for 90 minutes.
Yeah. Also, another fun thing is people were saying, like, you can't play when I have had some interesting responses to some things that I've tweeted. And some people were like, you cannot, play. I tried to break it down to one because they're like, these younger players aren't experienced. They have to wait their turn. The very classic mentality of you pay your dues and then you get to be on the team. And I was like, okay, this feels very much like those job descriptions where they say you need like 3 to 5 years of experience and it's like an entry-level job. I'm like, how in the world do you get the experience then? Like, this
reminds you of journalism.
Right, exactly. Like, this is what group stages are for. This is what you have to do to like give people an opportunity. And like, it's so annoying that
it's also like that's never been the way this team has worked. Like, didn't Mia Hamm start when she was like 14 or something? Like, and like Mal started when she was a baby. Like, no, that's not it. That's not how it works. And a year of difference in a top league rarely is going to be, I think, the difference in your ability to play with this group. It's or your ability to make an impact. It's experience, like, within that system, if anything. And I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a wild reply.
Well, it's also like, out of those players that I think, come in really early, it's like a very specific player of who gets that opportunity, even though there are also plenty of other players who are worthy to get on the team at that age, but it's only like a select few that actually gets to do that. And I mean, Malpew right now is like really getting back into good form, but also for a while, because of injury, she wasn't. So it's just like the system probably needs a little bit of changing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not that we should have a whole team of 16-year-olds, but I think just for physical safety against teams like Sweden or Canada, that would concern me. We were a bunch of little ones running around.
What do you even think about like all the players that got a little taste of like U.S. women's national team camps and then were just discarded? Like Sophia
Those
Smith
ones I think about all the time.
And was gone. Emily Fox, you need a left back? Awesome. She's
right
incredible. And
well,
the thing that
this
the
year
other thing that
it was
well, like this year, like Black Ghost started off the year with like that big, wonderful identification camp that was like just so many new names coming in, and then just to go to the Olympics with the same roster plus a couple of folks that he didn't really use. Like, it's like, what's the point?
And then he didn't even play. Like Katarina played 6
God.
minutes.
God, those when you put
so
those
mad
numbers out on the
about
pod.
that still.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
I mean, first of all, I lost it when André was like, how many, like Katarina Macario? I was like 0 minutes. I just like, I mean, she played 6 minutes out of what Crystal Dunn played, what, 400?
All but like
400
6.
something.
Yeah.
All of them except for 16, because I remember the national team tweeted out this morning. I said, it's not the flex you think it is.
Sure
it's
isn't.
not the flex you think it is. But
especially when she played them all at left back. Shout out.
I'm still mad about this. Or right center back.
Oh,
I will
God,
never be over that. That's my first sermon on the podcast was her when they said, "Oh, taking Kelly O'Hara out." I said, "Ooh, okay, probably gonna go upfield." No, right side of center back. I almost lost it in that moment. Yeah, it doesn't like. I mean, Sophia Smith coming in, but also I think that's part of it too. Of like people are like, "Oh yes, let's rely on like experience in these big tournaments," but also with young people, like, yeah, they might be nervous, but also they're like so pumped up to go do it. And so, especially in a team where it often looked flat, part of it was like, to be fair, it's very hot outside, but also just like sometimes to me, the team as a whole had like the can't be bothered type attitude. And it's like, you know who always can be bothered? A really young, excited player.
Yep. You want someone who's like, even if it's like a little anxious energy, like I'd rather have that than nothing. Like I'd rather you be nervous and like, you know, a little on edge than, to your point, unbothered. Like just like nothing.
Jesus.
Nothing's gonna. All
right. You put that ball over where and okay.
And if your attack cannot function without a pressing element, then you kind of need younger players who can do that in that kind of heat and like do it like every 5-6 days, like so you can actually do like real rotation and still play your most effective style, which we've seen the team when they press, they're very good. They can attack when they press. That's kind of what a bit of what happened today is better. Obviously, the other thing that happened today was just Australia's defense is not good. And they didn't have their best defender in Ellie Carpenter.
No Ellie Carpenter.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it. But the other point about young players and experience is that you look at like Tierna Davidson, love that she's getting into the matches, like love that she's doing that. But we tend to look at young players, especially when you have that mindset of like pay your dues. Some people don't understand that like just being out of college doesn't mean you're not prepared for that kind of opportunity. Like Emily Fox is older than Tierna Davidson. She's 23. Like she could actually do this.
And my brain just exploded a little bit.
Yeah, Tierna is extremely young. It is wild how young she is. But a lot of these players like are in their close to their mid 20s when they come out of college. Like Katarina as well. She's not a teenager, right? These are players that can do this. Katarina herself is 21. She'll be 22 in October. Like this is the perfect time to give her that kind of experience and rely on her and say like, moving forward, we want this is your role and we want you to grow in this role. Right now, I have no idea what her role is with that team because she came in, played the 9, scored 3 minutes into her starting debut. Then she was kind of a midfielder. Then she was kind of on the wing for a little bit. Like they've kind of moved her around a lot. And it's like, can you stop?
Well, it's like, and how do you expect her to get into a role and grow if you're going to keep moving her? Like the consistency is key for that. And if you want her to play a certain role, put her there and then help her grow into it. Don't, just keep moving the puzzle pieces around because that's not helping anything either.
Yeah. And also kind of going back to the press, I think obviously the style is pressing, like the main style of the women's national team is pressing. So of course, like, I don't know, to me, when there's so much lacking chemistry consistently, besides honestly the back line, I would say the back line they could pass to each other, even though there was also some really chaotic moments on the back line. Like to me, a part of it was also kind of like reverting to not necessarily reverting to normal, but like relying on muscle memory, right? Like so much of it, I felt like the players were overthinking or just not knowing where they're supposed to be. And that was kind of my thing also with why, like, I understand, for example, you can't press for 90 minutes over 6 games in this crazy heat, but it's also like, we're not even seeing glimpses of what this team, like the natural style of this team, or like, if it's not the natural style, the style that you've been like imbuing on this team for the past 2 years. So it's like, why not, in the same way where we couldn't see them pass the ball, like, why not go back to basics of this team and like at least try to press for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes at a time and then tell them to lay back. You just honestly didn't see that until the first 10-ish minutes of the Canada game, and they didn't get a goal. And then you saw that at least for or good stretches of this Australia game. And it's like, yeah, they're missing Ellie Carpenter, but also, oh yeah, like they don't actually have to think about passing the ball and scoring or doing any of those things that I think they had to over the previous 4 matches.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do feel like when they got into Canada, it's like they started doing the press and then they just like gave up because it wasn't working, and they never could find it again.
Yeah, and I mean, part of that, well, also I also think, for example, the Netherlands game, and like when Miedema just scored on her second touch, and it was like
that was
dagger
rude.
to the heart. But that was, I think,
beautiful and rude.
Beautiful and rude. But to me, also, that was like the first time I think I had seen the team like, and maybe honestly, I feel like a big part of that was Lynn Williams, but like find a sense of resiliency that I think people are used to with this team. Like, obviously, they don't always have to be resilient because they're normally like outscoring and pressing and being on the front foot. But when they do go down, like, I remember when that happened, I said, oh no, this is not going to be good. But then it was like bang, boom, 2 goals in quick succession. And I was like, oh yeah, like this team can do it. But also part of that, I think, comes from the inclusion of Lynn Williams, of a person who has not played at the Olympics before, but is also in crazy form. And it's like, put her in, she's going to go do things for you.
Yeah, she's going to bring energy. And that's what that team needed more than anything. But there was a period when I think the first game was like, okay, we're going to see how this goes. And as they, each time they fell behind in subsequent games, it's like, oh, is this a team that can pull it back? I don't know that they are. And there were times, I'd say, like the World Cup, you were sure they were. You were like, oh no, they're going to fight this back and even it up quickly. And that wasn't what we saw this tournament. Like, I didn't have confidence in that at all. And it was scary. And like, there were glimpses of it, to your point, that like, and I do think it was mostly Lynn who brought that energy and kind of pulled everyone with her of like, oh yeah, we can go do that too. And then finally
we remember how to play soccer.
Yeah. Like, Lynn, show us the light, show us the way.
The thing that's so frustrating to me about the Lynn Williams thing is that, like, months before this tournament, when Vatko was fielding questions about Lynn Williams and her role, because, people always look at like her missed chances and they talk about, all that stuff. And he was like, look, Lynn has a very important role in this system. You look what she does off the ball, look at the pressing work that she does, look at how she influences the game, look at how she manufactures chances high up the pitch. Like, that was really the thing. And then to like not want to have her on the team,
Right.
And then you get done the solid of being able to like have your error of making her an alternate. Like, you get that gift of that not actually being an error, and you don't really allow her to get in any form. I know it sounded like she had a little bit of an injury early on, but like, I do not understand the process that she's not in the plans, and I do not understand why her and Kristen Press never played together. That just does not make any sense.
And next sermon on the podcast.
Yes. No back line in that even Canada, who's defensively stout, no back line is handling those two.
No.
I feel like that's all I talked about post the Canada game. I was like, why can't we see them?
Yes.
No defense can handle them.
None.
And then it's like, and then also, we play front three. Like, even if you put Alex Morgan in there, it's like, dang, I got to think about her. Like, I have to think about Lynn Williams and Kristen Press. Oh, yeah. And Alex Morgan is just like hanging out.
In the back door. Yep.
Like, why were we not actually set up for success? I feel like it was almost there.
Good question.
But it wasn't. And even it's like, hey, we're not being successful right now. Oh, we have an absent midfield. Or like, hey, you know what we need to do better on? Corners. Why don't we just go put in Chrissy Mewis? Person's very good at corners. Has scored a bunch from corners, quick transition. Can just also like be like a bother to the other, like the opposite players around her. And we saw her also for 13 minutes.
Yeah,
no time at all.
Like seeing Christy, I think, or the lack of her playing time bummed me out the most. Not the most. That's a strong term. I can't pick favorites of people. I'm mad they didn't play enough. But no, but like there was that energy, and I think your point of like distracting people and pulling attention away, and that creates so many other gaps potentially and space to work in for people like Rose who are trying to do stuff and needs maybe a little extra help. But she doesn't have anyone who's got the energy around her. But Christy would have just run circles around people. She'd be so annoying to play against. Like, I would just be like, dude, stop. Like,
yeah,
please.
Exactly. Because she finds those little pockets and you're like, you again? Like, go away. Like, you're not supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
But
like,
she likes finding those little pockets. And nobody else was doing that. Like,
nope.
That's kind of the other thing is, so it's one of those things that just there's just so many questions to ask. Like, you know, we have the emotional stories. Like that's that's kind of the other thing. Like the team really did almost like did you no favors really, or didn't really help even the storytelling of it, because you know before it's Christy Mewis, you know, had a really good year, got back into the national team fold and got named onto the Olympic roster. It's an awesome story. It's so cool. Casey Kruger gets there, you know, another one who only plays 6 minutes, you know, gets named to Olympic roster, should have been there for the World Cup, but wasn't. You know, you have Catarina Macario with the, you know, she desperately wants to play for the U.S. women's national team, chose us over Brazil, like it worked really hard to get her citizenship, and you gave us none of that. Like none of that. We couldn't get us like nothing. I was just like, okay. I mean, on one hand, it helps make it easier to analyze the performance because you're not really like jaded by or like influenced at all by like, oh man, but what a cool story. And like, you know, you don't have this optimism of like, oh man, you know, Katarina was so close with this, or, you know, you don't have any of that. You're just like, oh, Carly Lloyd again. Cool.
Well, it also makes the team easy to predict, right? Like that's, I mean, besides the hockey subs, which why line change? It's not a chorus line. Why are we line changing? But also, it makes the team easy to predict. Like how much, I mean, yeah, you could maybe go watch footage of Houston Dash or maybe like a little bit of Leon. But it's like if you are rotating the same, 8 players between midfield and forwards, like that's easy to predict. Also, there's some, like if you're like, fine, I don't want to look at club footage, there's still so much international footage of all these players. Like, why not bring in someone else to be a little X factor that like maybe people know about if they're really doing their deep research? But also, you know, most of these players, like, yeah, you're gonna watch film, but I don't know how much film there is at the international level of, at least in the past 2 years, of like Christy Mewis and Katarina Macario and like really important, you know, World Cup, Olympics.
Mm-hmm. And definitely not footage of those players playing with this group, whereas you're like the other players have footage of almost a decade or so now of the 8 of them playing together. Like, if you can't figure it out, like maybe that's what the rest of the world is catching up thing means, is like, oh no, they've just watched all the film and they just know now. They've had time to study it and we figured it out. And that's it.
All of it. They've finished literally all of it by now.
I mean, isn't that
they binged it?
But also, isn't that what like Serena Wiegman, like Bev Priestman, Tony G, I can't remember the name of the Sweden coach, but like that's what they all said. They're like, we played them before, we picked out the weaknesses and we exploited them. And it's like, wow.
We
We studied. Like we did the
Wow.
homework.
We studied for this
So
test
brave.
and
We
passed.
understood the
Yay.
assignment.
Exactly.
And they made it
How
very,
inspiring.
they made it. I mean, if you're a casual fan, you know what to expect when you see certain players, especially when you have the limitation or restriction of players who can do things to you, even though you know what they're going to do, they can still hurt you. Like you know what certain players are going to do, you can mark them. But there are certain players where even if you know what they're going to do, like Lynn Williams, she's going to hurt you because you're going to get caught out of position and she's going to be gone. Or she's going to press, you're going to turn around with the ball and she's going to be right there and she's going to press you and force a turnover. Same with Kristen Press. Like she's going to find those pockets, she's going to get on the ball. And even though you think you know which direction she's going to go when she's on the ball, she can go either one, right foot, left foot. And so she can be unpredictable as well. And you don't get that with a lot of the other players that are like Carly Lloyd. You know what she's going to do. Like Alex Morgan, you know what she's going to do. You know, and when Lindsay Rand doesn't move, you know what she's gonna do. Like, I mean, it's really difficult to be like, you know, how do you manufacture anything when your opposition kind of is like, okay, cool, thanks for making it easy.
The anti Christemius of just like not finding those little pockets, just turn around being like, oh, okay, you're still there, cool.
Yeah, stop, just hanging out.
You're right where I thought you were gonna be. Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
That's the player you do want to defend against every time.
Even though I think for me, probably one of the most surprising storylines of this tournament has been Abby Dahlkemper. I don't know who stole her soul for a moment, but it just has not been pretty. I mean, honestly, so surprising. Because I was like, she's been consistently solid everywhere she's played. And it's just like, I don't know what it was about this tournament.
Was it when we were talking to Shea Butter FC where it was like Manchester City possibly just
different style of play,
all of her skill away from her, and it didn't happen to Roosevelt because obviously
didn't play.
He also didn't play her, so
no, she never played, so skill was never
or she was left wing, which was fantastic. So yeah,
how Gareth Taylor fumbled the bag.
Good
so
God,
hard.
How do
you
have
two
that?
World Cup winning midfielders, and you're like, I'm not going to A, play them together, and B, play them in their really good positions that help win them a World Cup.
Yeah. I don't want to play on easy mode. Like, no, I won't do that. I won't play it hard. Like, sit them down.
This is one of those things about like I tweeted something about this, just like in women's soccer, you have a lot of male coaches with ego, and a lot of players are just like victim to that. Like, how in the world do you get Rose Lavelle and that's what you do to her? Like, and then of course, as an American football fan, soccer fan, you have to listen to everybody in England just tell you, Roosevelt's not good enough. Oh, really? Tell me about all the World Cups you've won. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me all the World Cup finals that your players have scored in. Like, come on now. Like, don't act like I don't know what I'm watching. Don't act like I don't know how good Rose Lavelle is. Rose Lavelle. Like, please understand who you're talking about right now. The only question about Rose Lavelle for the past how many years has been just, can she stay healthy?
Yeah,
if she's healthy and on the pitch, she's gonna wreck you.
Oof.
That's it. Yeah.
She's always at 100.
Always.
There's no zero means she's injured, and she's always at 100.
Always. Yeah. It is so impressive.
On or off. It's like upsetting to watch and think about like, how would I defend her? And then you just realize like, I wouldn't. I would not.
No.
You get run over
if you tried.
I would just
people
like
have tried and they've been embarrassed.
Yeah. Like there are players.
You get less so mad.
Yeah, exactly.
Soul
I like
stolen.
my ankles. I like my ankles. Let me keep them. Is that what happened to Kelly O'Hara?
So
Did Rochelle steal her ankles?
Ankles
In
snatch.
training one day, and we just never heard about it.
I was about to say something bad.
I was like,
I have to behave.
Well, I don't think she has any cartilage in her ankles, but because of the sheer amount of injuries, which
Seriously?
just leads to, okay, so there are a few players on the U.S. Women's National Team that are very comical when they fall. Just like some of the funniest people when they fall. and I can't lie, she's one of them.
Oh yeah.
She's one. Emily Sonnet is another one where it's just like, for some reason, it's never like potentially fall on your butt, fall on your back. It's always face plants. And it's always really funny. And sometimes you like kind of hate to see it because it's like you were trying real hard. You were like trying to do the right thing. And then you just fall right on
Not
your face.
graceful. Yep.
It's having no cartilage in your ankles.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, like after this tournament is like officially done and everyone's back home and stuff and the dust settles, we are going to start hearing about what injuries everybody played through. And I am 80% sure that Kelly O'Hara's like foot isn't actually attached to her leg anymore. Like it's just taped on, and she's just been running around on it for like 4 years. And she has no ankles anymore. They're all gone.
I mean, she legit before left for like camps for the US, she was having issues with the spirit with her ankles and her leg. And it's just like, you know, but she's also one of those players who never wants to come out. Like I can't remember exactly who the opponent was, but they were getting Tegan McGrady ready to come on, and Richie Burke is asking her like, can I take you off? And she's like, no, I want to finish the game or whatever. And it's just like, Tegan was like there, like had done her warm up, was ready to come in. I felt so bad for Tegan, like, why you do that to her? But he basically just left it up to Kelly to let her decide, and she stayed in and continued to play. And like, on one hand, I get that's kind of her thing, but on the other hand, like that doesn't really help the team.
It's also like, as a coach, your job is to say no.
Like, yeah, there's
be
that
the adult.
Yeah.
So like, if she needs to come off, take her off.
Yeah,
You're
especially if I prepared the sub and they're standing right there.
Right.
I'm like, well, the decision was made. I'm sorry. I'm actually not sorry.
And the number's up on the board. And
yeah, that's you. And go, please sit down there. You'll be fine.
We'll talk later.
As far as Kelly O'Hara, the thing I was kind of gonna say is there a few people have pieces of her ankles.
Yeah,
Maria Sanchez would be one. Who's most recently collector. Yes.
Well earned.
No, Berenstein.
Berenstein definitely has.
Most recent collector.
Has some, correct. So yeah, that's one of the confusing things, is that you rely on her, but then also Emily Sonnet. Emily Sonnet, in theory, plays a lot of positions. But when you have problems at multiple positions that you tell us that she can play, but she does not play them, it makes me wonder if she can actually play multiple positions.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, exactly.
She reminds me a bit of like the Arsenal like defensive midfield of the last few years, of just like the men's side, I should say.
Granite Xhaka.
Of just like yep. There's some Xhaka energy of like, you might do something really good and you might do something really dumb, and I don't know which one it's gonna be on any given day. And it like, watching you gives me anxiety. And I really believe you're trying really hard and you care a lot. Sometimes it doesn't work out and it scares me.
Yes, correct. And that's another, like, this will always bring me back to roster construction. I do not understand bringing a player like that if you cannot rely on her in those moments. Why not bring Midge? Midge can play right back, and she can also do that pressing thing and attack that you want to do. Like you think that there you go. Okay.
I was gonna ask who you guys had on the back of your jerseys, but
Crystal Dunn. I've got Crystal Dunn too. Got a Thorn shirt. Yeah, we're
I'm wearing tie-dye.
Good choices made all around.
And you look amazing.
Yes, and
this is my tie-dye. It's actually you can't really tell unless you're close, but I'm sorry I derailed the conversation.
No, this is good.
But so my older sister played college soccer and played with Emily Sonnet and also Morgan Gautreaux. My parents will still always call her Morgan Bryan. So they were talking about it earlier, and I was like, it's fine.
That's adorable.
But when she was at Virginia, for the most part, she was playing center back. And so I'm very confused, for bits and pieces. I really remember her up to when my sister graduated, and then I was 15 and forgot the rest of it. But so I'm and I know that sometimes she plays center back for the Spirit. So I'm always confused if she's not really working outside back, but she's kind of okay at center back. Why does she keep getting moved around when it's this is also not working? like wanting to play her at the position that like she's best at. Like, and the same thing with Kat, like moving her all around the pitch. It's like, hey, why don't you play her as like the false nine that she normally plays for Lyon, and then just like, hey, this is your best position. We're going to play you here.
Set them up for success and let them like build some confidence in those roles too. Because I'm gonna say, I assume neither of them is growing by getting moved around that much. What were you gonna say, André?
I was just gonna just the visions in my head of what this team could have looked like with Kat as the false nine. It just makes me so mad because those are the spaces that we were not exploiting. And she is so good at that. Just imagine. Like, it really frustrates me. It just really frustrates me. Because then Lindsay Horan could do her thing. If you want Lindsay Horan to do it, she's gonna do her thing anyway, fine. But get like there are multiple ways to help and navigate around that. And you have a once in a generation player. This is kind of the other thing, and I kind of went on a bit of a rant. I think it was yesterday about this, is that people just don't, because of decisions that U.S. Soccer and some of the coaches have made, people don't understand how talented this team is. People like to think it's just mentality. It's just the U.S. It's just what we do. And I'm like, no, there are some generational talents on this team, like Crystal Dunn. She's a generational talent. It's not just that she can play damn near every minute of an Olympic tournament. No, she is one of the best players we have ever produced in this country, ever, period. And same thing with Kat. She's a generational talent. You don't go straight out of college to starting for Lyon if you're not good. If you need, like some people were telling me, she's got to pay her due. She's starting for Lyon, man. Like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, well, Lyon had a down year. Really? Come on. Yes, they didn't win.
Because they didn't win the Champions League.
Yeah, the 1 year, it's not like they were out there starting scrubs, okay? Like, they are still a very good, one of the best club teams on the planet. Like, please stop with the excuses. And it actually, it didn't like, it doesn't make me angry. It just makes me sad that people don't realize the talent level of so many of these players. Like, people still don't see it yet because they haven't yet seen it with the U.S. Women's National Team. And I'm like, they have such a, like, they narrow people's like scope because of decisions that they make. And people only think that that's the only quality, like the only thing that matters is what you do with this team. And if you're not set up for success on this team, then sorry, guess you're just like, kind of like the Crystal Dunn thing. People don't understand how good of a midfielder she is. Just don't, because she plays left back for the U.S. Women's National Team. And they just kind of assume if she was good enough, she'd be in midfield. It's an egregious mistake.
If only it was that simple. If only it was that simple. Like, I wish it was like fair like that. And it just never, it just makes me mad.
Imagine what we could have if we just built this team around Crystal Dunn.
Just talent in particular. Just talent.
Just talent.
Just put our most talented 11 out there.
That's crazy talk, André.
Hold on there.
Why would you do
that?
Gotta go back to the drawing board.
No. Too far.
Sorry to get radical. Don't mean to be divisive here.
Hold on. We got lots of great players on both sides. It's going to be great. Everybody just relax.
I also feel like part of it is that like people don't realize the talent of the national team just from the way they sometimes play. Like people are like, oh, well, it might be like they're not playing like quote unquote like beautiful football. Like, it's easy to just like press and try to pick pockets and then like, quickly counter and score. But it's like, that is still hard. It's like just doing, quick tiki-taka, like build up play. But I feel like that's part of it too. And I mean, also the mentality thing. And it's like the mentality thing kind of reminds me of like that quote that I feel like you always hear in sports of like, what is it? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But it's like you have talent and you can work hard. Imagine what the possibilities are, but instead you just keep fumbling the bag by roster decisions and not putting the players in their proper positions.
Just making
So
a bootstrap 11 every time.
Bootstrap 11.
Oh man.
I don't
Yes.
want to make that shirt, but I want to make that shirt.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna
Listen.
make that. I'm putting that in my shirt about bootstrap 11.
If you made that shirt, it would be very popular among the surgeon segment.
Exactly. That's the problem. It's funny.
Yes. It will definitely be
But-
more not ironically.
Yeah, exactly. And there's your problem right there.
Yeah.
And that's why we can't have nice things.
Correct.
Can't have
Yes.
good jokes because
Yeah,
people are
we
terrible.
cannot.
It's fine.
I also, so I wonder, I have a question for all of you. Okay. And so this is because I can see both sides on this one. But do you think that with this being Black Coast's first international tournament, should he have basically rotated and refreshed the squad? Obviously, there's no way you could have, well, I won't say no way, but you like to hope that if you lean on the team that just, won the World Cup, even if it's a year delayed, they would still be able to have a decent amount of success. I'm not saying that a bronze medal isn't success, but you guys know what I mean. At least not perform as poorly as they did across the tournament. So what do you think?
Wait, so your question is, should he have relied on
Yeah,
this roster?
should he have rotated the squad for
Well,
this tournament?
I mean, yes and no. Like we saw a roster, and I feel like I maybe said this once on the pod, or maybe it was just a distant thought in the back of my head, where he was rotating, but they weren't full rotations. Like we really didn't see Kat. We didn't see Chrissy Mewes. We didn't see Casey Kruger, who should have been starting and playing almost every don't even get me started on that. But it's like we only saw, and I mean, even though like we talked about Emily Sonnet, we also only saw her once. Like the rotation was very specific and it was just the same bulk of players. And I'm curious to know, for example, what would have happened if we saw more Chrissy Mewes, if we saw more Kat, if we saw, I mean, just talking about defensive solidity, putting in Casey. So I think he should have rotated because also just the nature of this tournament dictated it, but I wish he had done full rotations.
Yeah, I would say in terms of for the tournament, I think you could go, lean on this product you already know and have, and you have most of, and just fill in the gaps and patch it up for now until you can move on to a proper rebuild. Or you can play the risky card a bit and go with the youth out the gate and say no, we're going to start this now towards the next World Cup. And the pandemic and the year shift kind of messes with that a bit. But I expected Vlatko to be a bit riskier, and I feel like he went with the classic U.S. Soccer Federation decision of no, we can just build on this and then we'll tear down and rebuild after. And then in the actual tournament, I'd agree. I think if you're gonna bring a bunch of veterans, use them as your core to lean on, but maybe come out with that energy up top. Start your youth, don't start all of your olds every game. Let them be what you fall back on when you are in those waning moments of the game and you need experience. Don't let them be your front foot or your introduction to the tournament.
Yeah, I was really surprised that he had 22 players and he didn't use all of them. Like when you listed off the times that were played, it blew my mind. Like the fact that there were 3 players who had less than 15 minutes played in a ridiculous tournament like this was like he volunteered for that. Like that was a choice that was made. It wouldn't be how I would do it. I would probably opt for more rotation. I would definitely play Casey Kruger more. I think the pandemic probably played a lot into the rotating out some of the veterans from the roster. I mean, we didn't see too much turnover. We saw Ashlyn Harris and Allie Krieger, and that's about it. think we might have seen more had there been like less of a turnaround time.
Well, I think it also would have even been, I think we would have seen more if they're like the pandemic did not happen. I think we also just would have seen like more faces in general besides rotating, but also like Alex Morgan, would she have made it back like post pregnancy to get to the Olympics? I don't know. I mean, from like technically this pushing it back here, but I remember it was a longer journey for her to get back to full fitness and things like that. So I think some of the scenarios would have like dictated like, hey, we have to bring in new people. But also at the same time, like learning basically what Vlaco's two main purposes were in this role was like go win the Olympics and then like kind of bring in a new era of the US women's national team. And I feel like part of this, I think André said this on one podcast, was like, this is kind of like trying to be their swan song. Like this is like their last hurrah. But instead of it being like their last hurrah, it was like not until the very end where it was like, yay, like we're gold or bronze medalists, which also I like really don't like that people are like, oh, you didn't win gold, you settled for silver. I'm like, no, you went out and you did that. Like, be proud of yourself for winning an Olympic medal, but also, I mean, they didn't hit their goal, which was, or at least the goal Vlaco was brought in for, which is win the Olympics.
I will say, like, I was kind of pleased in a way that they turned this into a very big win. Like, it was very, very kind of cool to see that they like really did get up for this, that this really was meaningful. And I think all of that is because they understand the performances were not good and they finally had a decent performance. Not across the board, because Australia did score 3 goals and could have scored more. Yeah, but I did like that. I mean, I kind of look at it a couple ways. Like, because of the pandemic and losing a year, I think it's really frustrating. It probably is really frustrating for that core group of players if you tell them, sorry, you're not going to get a chance to do this. Like, the Olympics got postponed. Guys are 1 year older. We've got players who need to be, introduced into the team, to get into the fold, to get this experience. I think it'd be really harsh to do on them, especially considering what they'd accomplished in the 2019 World Cup. But on the other hand, I think that also serves as excuse to do it, right? You say, like, if this was 2020, we still had all of that momentum, obviously from the World Cup. You still have the momentum, obviously, from, the equal pay lawsuit and everything. And I know that, the release of LFG, on HBO Max was like a big deal and kind of injected a little bit of that, but it wasn't the same. The energy around the team wasn't the same. And so you could say, like, from a team building perspective, I have to get the younger players in here and do some things with them. And yeah, you can still have a more experienced core, like you guys were saying, and then kind of sprinkle in the players. And I think that's the biggest, like, there's really no right answer, I think, either way you go, but I think the wrong option is to not play anyone, right? It's not to play any of the younger players, like, especially in a tournament like this, when you say, like, you're gonna play, you set up a tournament. What was it called? Was it the Summer Series? That was supposed to be like the prep for the Olympics, where they were playing every 3 days in extreme heat. That's supposed to be the prep. Okay, you get to Tokyo and you're not doing that. You're relying on the same players. You're not doing any rotation. So, like, what was the plan? I think that kind of becomes the central question, I think, to the whole tournament. It's just like, what was the plan?
Like, that, I think that brings me back to, like, that's what I want to see in the notebook. I want to see what you wrote down before the tournament. I don't want you to try to cover it now. I want to know what were the notes at the beginning and what you had, sketched out, and where did it all go wrong? Like, what did you get wrong? I want to see that reflection too of yep, we got that wrong. Okay. We learned something. That's, I think, my bigger concern is I don't know if they learned anything.
Well, yeah, that's
Nary a
kind of the
lesson was
problem.
learned.
Exactly. That's kind of the problem, is that we don't know. But one thing, and I'm actually trying to find the exact quote, because Black Code did have a quote that I appreciated, but I also wanted to hear, like, we're not going to get any answers for a while. Right? That's the other thing. Like, it's gonna be a couple years before we actually have any sort of answers. Like, and some of it's gonna be dictated on player retirements. So it's gonna be decisions he's not gonna have to make. Like, say for instance, Carly doesn't retire. Are you going to just bring her along? Are you gonna finally tell
Someone's
her
gonna
no?
have to cut her.
Yeah, like somebody's gonna have to have the conversation, and please do not shut. I don't understand why she scares so many people. I really don't. Like, it seems like she just kind of like, people are scared to just tell her no. And I'm just like, you're not,
She's
we
a
got,
human.
we got better players at this point. It happens. It's
Yeah.
fine. You have
Like, you played longer than most people do, and you did
Yeah.
well. Like,
Like-
but it's okay to stop, buddy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like you were the second most capped women's player in the world, I'm pretty
Right.
sure. Like, it took what, who's it, Christine Lilly, Christy Pierce
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think it's
one of those two.
Yeah.
I know she
Yeah.
like she passed one of them because she was tied, and then this match she passed one of them. But it's like you were the second most cap tied player in the world of women's
Yeah.
soccer. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, like,
It's okay.
Like, you can rest now. Go take a nap.
Right? Yeah. Like,
It'll be
just buddy, what if you stop? Like, she's afraid to stop, I think, a little bit. And I get that. I think
Yeah.
like that's a real thing for athletes of
Mhm.
like, especially when you're good at like the first thing you do, kind of like your first
Yeah.
job was playing soccer. It's also still your job. You've never done a different one. So
And she has a lot of her identity wrapped into how she plays.
working hard at soccer.
Yeah, and all of that. So I
Grip your
understand.
bootstraps.
Except she's
Captain
first
of
team
Bootstraps.
Bootstraps 11. Yeah, she is absolutely captain of Bootstraps 11.
Oh, man.
The Andonovsky quote was, and this was Andrew Doss from New York Times got this quote. He said, "I know there are a lot of things I could have done better, and hopefully I don't make the same mistakes in the next break tournament." The hopefully scared me, but I appreciated him admitting that there were a lot of things that he could have done better.
But does he know what they are? Is then the concerning part? 'Cause
Yeah,
That's very
Say
true.
the
hopefully.
question.
What are you apologizing for?
Well,
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I feel like the best example was the first Australia game. And I personally don't think Vlaco said, okay, guys, we're going for bronze, and Australia is going to beat Team GB, and then going to very narrowly lose Sweden. And then we're going to play them again in the bronze medal match. And that's when wheels are off. Like, I fundamentally don't think that that's what his thing going in, but I feel like that Australia game, the first one, was a really big, like, tipping point for a lot of people, because it was like, okay, you want to conserve energy. We realized that wasn't actually the case for the Netherlands game because they were super leggy still, but it was also like trying to, I think for this team, and especially it potentially being, a lot of players' swan songs, or just like, fine, I'm going to go with experience. Like, if you are hardwired a certain way, it's going to take very, very long for you to like change the way you are. So for him of let's play to a 0-0 draw in the Australia game, especially, like, to me, that was like, you shouldn't have done that. I understand, for example, not wanting to get leggy or anything like that, but so much to me, the core of this team is just going out, always giving it your all, like that same mentality thing. And the fact that he was like, I want them to stay reined in, I feel like just kind of like really mess with the team's core, almost even a little bit more than Sweden. Because it's one thing if you just get beat and you get beat bad and you're like, fine, we got beat bad. But to me, it's another thing of like, I just want to put kind of constraints on you when right now it's like, we're not playing well. We're not even gelling well as a team. Going out and having like kind of a balls out performance against Australia, I feel like would have fully changed the course of this tournament.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's like they could have done old team, old tactics, new team, new tactics. Instead, we did old team, new tactics, and it was just like, no. That's not gonna work. We either got to pick one or the other.
I also think that he, like, for somebody who is, reportedly and very over reportedly, I would say, is so prepared. You always hear about how meticulous he is and how prepared he is for every game. And yes, that's amazing. Like letting the players know what to expect, but obviously there are a couple things like information overload. And there's also the problem of you can't rely on you can't always rely on what you came up with before the game. Sometimes during the game you have to make decisions. And I think that goes back to the hockey line changes. Like that's something that you script. That is not something where you think, oh, you know what? This team needs 3 new forwards. Like that's not how any game works really, unless you. So like that to me was just there was a definite over preparation and then a complete like inability to change anything or to make the changes that the actual game playing out in front of him was demanding, because there were a lot, like we've mentioned before, like you see Abby Dahlkemper struggling. That means Kelly O'Hara, who is not her best defensive self right now, she's injured. She's played a lot of minutes. She's never really been a great 1v1 defender, particularly recently. She's declined a bit. And you have Casey Kruger there, who is defensively solid. So that's one way to help out those problems, by giving a little bit more solidity, somebody she can really kind of count on to give her a better, to kind of shrink her responsibilities a bit so she can focus on the things that she needs to do. And you don't see those changes. And it's just, this is why I said like a lot of this critique of this team is so relevant, because this isn't hindsight. These were things that were noticeable in real time.
Like if we can see them, the professionals should be able to see them. Like, the people who are in charge of this stuff should be, on top of it, well ahead of it. And yet,
it was very like, what do you know that I don't know? Because I shouldn't feel like I can do this from my couch.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I've been saying the same things all tournament and like all the pods that we've done. And I'm like, I feel like I got receipts. This ain't hindsight if you want. You can go back and listen to the episodes. Like none of this is hindsight. We've been saying all of this. And it's just like we're to the end of it now. And it's just like looking back, like y'all said, like, do you know what the lessons were to be learned? And I really hope so. I mean, at some point, the squad is going to have to be refreshed. And
please let it be now.
You can manage
please
that.
Let it be.
Yeah.
Put Midge front and center. Put Chris on the midfield. Put Midge right there. I think that was the most frustrating thing, I think, in general about the Olympics is I feel like so many of us kept going back of like, you had the right people. I can see them, but they're not here. Why are you like this? Like, I know who would really benefit from this game right now. But unfortunately, they're over 5,000 miles away.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and I had this pleasant thought earlier today.
I don't think it's gonna be pleasant.
No, it's extremely pleasant. Let me tell you, like you just wait. It is. I'm telling you, you guys are gonna love it, because the the U.S. Women's National Team loves hyping up records for their players, and like you said, they hyped up Carly's record, and they got her goal scoring record in the tournament. Right? Was it 10? And Miedema did that this Olympics alone. She scored 10. So like I thought it was amazing that she has the record, and the thought that I had was, I cannot wait until Trinity Rodman breaks that record.
That is a good thought.
It was such a pleasant thought.
Or Barbara Banda.
Well, I mean, yes. But I mean, without a specific US record. But yeah. Yes. I mean, just imagining that world made me happy. I don't know if it's a world that will ever exist given the way US soccer operates, but I hope so.
They will have generationally fumbled the bag if they do not bring in Trinity Rodman. Like, even if it's not immediately, because it's like, yeah, her form, but also I understand, for example, like, let's let her get like settled a little bit as a working professional. Okay. But like, bro, needs to be in that conversation. I mean, the World Cup's only 2 years away. 2023 needs to be in that conversation right now.
It's like the other thing. We don't have a lot of time to like, it's normal, as normal as a normal timeline like we usually have. Like, you got to make decisions.
A year shorter. Like,
yeah,
it's wild. Oh,
We already
all
have
right.
teams making plans for her. It's time.
Yeah. I'll say if I'm making plans for Australia, they better be.
All right.
All right, when do I book things? My boss is Australian, so sometimes I'm just like, wait, teach me more like silly Australian words. Great, thanks. Like, I need you to prepare me starting now.
Just beware of swooping magpies. That's what I've learned
Yeah,
from
no.
Yeah.
all the people I've talked to.
We have heard
I
that
did see a
couple times.
video though of a huntsman spider going into someone's car, and then but a swooping magpie came by, got the spider, took it away, and I was like, okay,
Cool.
I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
curious to see that because I'm like terrified of spiders, and Australia has spiders like bigger than
they're
me.
too big. Yeah,
But also seeing a magpie swoop in and get it, I'm like kind of intrigued.
yeah. Let me know.
hero.
I'll put it somewhere safely. But yeah,
That's my one qualm
Okay.
about Australia is I'm really afraid to go and just be encountered by a lot of animals that I'm like not prepared to see. Or
Yep.
not like I don't
Same.
think I'll ever be prepared to see, but that just
It's a whole
sounds
new
terrible.
world. Yeah.
Turn around, there's
Just
a
get off
kangaroo
the
right next to
plane.
you.
Yeah.
No.
Big lizard on the wall.
I remember going, was it, we were in Puerto Rico? I think my family took a trip to Puerto Rico and like we were literally in the hotel and we like walk outside and there's just like a pack of like huge iguanas
Yeah, they
just
hang out.
chilling. And I was like, this is not for me. This is not for me.
I am not like a reptile person. Like I respect the people that are, but like I really hope I don't have a kid who wants one of those as a pet because I can't. It's gonna be a no, bud.
It'll be shot down
It's gonna be,
immediately. Want your mother to have
my
nightmares?
problem.
Yeah,
No reptiles
No.
for you. Give you 3 dogs instead.
yeah. I'll say I'll get you as many dogs and cats or rabbits or fish as you want, but that's it. Those are the lines.
No, snake.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah.
No,
I
like
can't do.
if the pet needs to be fed other animals, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in
No.
terms of like if I have to go to a store and buy a bag of crickets, it's not happening. No. It's
The,
horrific.
the closest I go is a turtle. Be like, fine, give you a little piece of lettuce, and you're
It
gonna go
smells so
bask
bad.
under that sun. It's fine. That's the farthest I go in terms of non-mammal animal pets.
For me.
Yeah.
All right. We should probably wrap this up. We've all got an early game to watch.
We do.
Oh yeah,
Who you
that is
got?
tomorrow.
That is tomorrow. It was supposed to be, half an hour ago, but here we
Yeah.
are. Or nowish. I don't know.
Luckily good though, because it was gonna be really hot in Tokyo.
Yeah.
It was all
And,
our
like,
fault.
Look
Apparently,
at the IOC.
USOC wanted it.
Yeah.
They wanted it at
Yeah. They
wait,
wanted
why?
prime
Yeah.
time. US.
Because the US wanted it to be like in prime time
Yeah.
for
We're jerks.
because we're terrible like that.
Yeah. Because we just assumed we were gonna be there, and whoopsies.
I was like,
We're
that
the bad
assumption.
guys.
Whoopsies.
Yeah.
We didn't.
That's
make
what
it.
we do. We're garbage.
We're the worst.
If they really want us to be prime time, why did they schedule all of our games at 4 a.m.?
Because they hate
Yeah.
us personally. That one was
Correct. Yeah,
us.
That
They
was
said,
for us.
fine, you get one primetime
Yeah.
game. We're going to ruin your fan base over the course of 2 weeks.
Yes. You get one favor. That was it. And then we didn't
Who
even
you
get
guys
it.
got tomorrow?
I'm interested in Courtney because I think she kind of
I've been thinking about this. It's
Yeah.
like
Tell us, coach.
It's like I stop it. I was
I've been waiting for that
Let's
all. I've been waiting.
well, I mean, I
Let's go.
want Canada to win because I always root for everybody black. But also it's just like I just know that Sweden is just going to be like basically riding the high, even though Australia definitely put up a really good match against them. And then even at parts of their game against Japan, I was like, maybe Japan could like do a little something. But yeah, so I'm hoping for Canada, but also like Blackstonians like and Aslani just come in and ruin things. But hoping for Canada.
Yeah.
Also, because I really
think-
want to say Nichelle Prince, gold medalist.
Yeah. 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 Christine Sinclair, gold medalist. Sounds good.
I might
Very
cry
nice.
if she gets a
Yeah.
gold medal. It might thaw my like dark cold heart of just
Yeah,
oh,
it takes a lot to make her cry, and that would do it.
it might do it.
Yeah.
I understand. Having said that,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think Canada's best thing is to kind of do exactly what they did against the US. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do that. It's an exhausting way to play, and Sweden will do more to test them than the US did. And that's the scary thing because Sweden is very good. Their coach is very good at exploiting things. And as we were talking about before, if you just start Kristen Press and Lynn Williams, I think the US actually wins that game. So I think that they'll like it's to me, it's going to be Sweden. And I hope that it is a, you know, I was gonna say I hope that it's not like I just hope it doesn't go into extra time. Let's put it that way. like if it's heading that way, then let whatever happen, like what happened with the US, just a penalty call or something, you know, where you know that ends up winning the game. Because the players just don't deserve that. But yeah, I think Rolfo has had a ridiculous tournament, and she is extremely good. And their coach, how about this? Their coach has done a very good job of rotating the side too. So
like true perfection.
Yes. So they should
Imagine.
be a lot fresher. Exactly. Imagine. That's why I've been saying I'm jealous of Sweden for a number of reasons. And one of those is that they actually like looked like they had a plan and executed it. And that's just like, how about that? So yeah, I think Sweden's going to be fresher. Canada's going to have to do that, you know, knuckle down thing and for, you know, 80, 90 minutes, maybe longer. And I just don't know if you can do that versus Sweden.
Yeah.
And I also think, that the last thing about Canada is that their big thing coming into this tournament was change the color of the medal. And so they've like, in theory, already done that.
Yeah.
So it's like, obviously you want to win a gold medal. Like you're not going to go in that match and be like, yeah, we want to lose. But also I feel like their main rallying cry through the tournament has already been accomplished.
So they beat the US to do it. So
and
like
look,
that means something. And
I feel like maybe they're in this final, like we didn't expect to get this far. And so now they're just like, okay, maybe we could do this. I don't know. And
which could also be dangerous if Ben Priestman decides to say let them go. Yeah, they have ballers. Like
Michelle Prince Chaos.
Yeah, like that's the other thing. They have ballers. If they go out there and like go at Sweden, they can get a goal early, and then that makes things very interesting. So like I don't want to count them out, but I just think, you know, balance of play, tactics, things like that, I give Sweden the edge, but wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a physical game too. Like it's going to be a bruiser. And by the end of it, I'm a little afraid for everyone.
About injuries.
Yeah.
Canada was on top of the US. That was the other fun thing to see is they were like, we're going to fight you right now. And I was like, okay.
It's like
Canada.
siblings. Like, nope, we're taking you out. I'm
Keep younger sibling energy.
Yeah.
And Schitt's Creek was a lie. Y'all ain't nice at that.
Nope. It was much more Letterkenny than Schitt's Creek for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come down to like, can Canada last, or like who by the end of this game is not absolutely dead.
Yeah.
Last team standing.
Yeah, I'm saying this is like cage match more than anything. It's gonna be good.
I'm not excited about that. I mean, I'm excited about that, but I'm also like, I don't know. When games get too physical, I'm like, it's just like I don't want them there to be like a foul call every 2.5 minutes. Like that's there's nothing fun about that. I mean, like part of it is like, oh, you get a foul call and you try to play quickly. It's like, oh, maybe, but also I'm like, no, don't make this like secretly MMA. Like there's already, you know, judo and wrestling and all these other things in the Olympics.
That's like 4 forms of karate or something. I don't know. I think
that's got to be Canada's plan, though. You let Sweden get in the flow, and bad things happen.
Very true. But also, I hope Ashley Lawrence just again has another worldy performance. She was crazy against Brazil, even crazier against the US.
I think she's my second best player of the tournament.
Who's your first?
Ooh, who's your first?
Rolfo.
Yeah.
So Marlena Rolfo. She's been ridiculous.
Bev Priestman just start Deanne Rose and Nichelle
Yeah.
Prince.
Yes,
If you want
please.
to win, start
Yeah.
the two of them.
If you're listening, I know this is what
I know you
Team
are.
Canada's
If you're
That's
out
what you're
there,
doing is prep.
what's the time in Tokyo right
time
now?
is it in Tokyo? It's
11
probably a
a.m.
normal time right now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's 11:40
Perfectly
a.m.
normal.
She
Or
could be
it's-
listening. Hello, Bev. Thanks for
Hey,
tuning in.
Bev.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Thanks for listening.
Did you know
Play
that you're
Deanne
younger?
Rose, please.
Oh man, I hope they win. It'd be great to watch. It'd just be really
Go
good.
for it.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah,
because
big
in the
word.
back of my mind, I still want Sweden to lose a little bit. So
You're still a little salty.
Just a little.
Still a
Just a
little
little bit.
salty.
just for how they made Crystal Dunn look, and even though Crystal Dunn was doing her absolute best and probably better than anyone else in that position of
Oh,
just
yeah.
consistent overloads, I'm also like, how dare you?
Cover a quarter of the
Crystal Dunn
pitch
revenge.
by yourself.
Yeah, just good
Oh,
luck.
also
You
cover
own
like
this quarter.
2 players and sometimes 3.
And one's hand of glass. So go for that. Yeah. Not
Yeah.
not a great game plan.
Yeah.
The
and
Crystal
funniest thing-
Dunn revenge tour begins tomorrow, and the opener is Canada.
I'm okay with that.
All right. Shall we all go to bed now? Something like that.
We can.
Soon enough, at
Yeah.
We
least.
can.
All right.
Shout out
It's
to
time.
both of
So much.
these anti-woke teams that made the gold medal final as well.
Yeah,
Oh.
these very strict conservative nations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pick
Yeah.
yourself up by your bootstraps. 11s. 2 of them at the same time.
Two of them, yes, absolutely.
They don't
playing for
both
the
have
gold medal.
socialized medicine.
No,
Not
not
they
these.
sure
Not
don't.
these nations.
Absolutely not. You're talking about the most conservative of nations in both of them, and teams as well. Canada did not kneel for
True.
the anthem when they were in the
No,
US. The only team to do that. The US still hasn't.
They did not wear Black Lives Matter t-shirts. They think
Nope,
Black
sure didn't.
lives don't matter.
Magda Eriksson
Nope.
is not on Sweden at all. Nope. Not has a highly publicized relationship with Pernille Harder. No.
Like there are no gays. No gays in the final.
No.
None.
Oh man.
Not
no.
at
None to be
all.
had.
Not
Can
at
we
all.
can real quick
None.
before we go? I wanted to talk to you guys. I'm so mad I forgot to talk about this earlier. The gal pals, the fun thing with Christy Mewis and Sam Kerr. They're lesbians, Stacy. That's my favorite.
Oh, it's so good.
That
Wait, what?
killed me.
Wait, so do you know the Harold joke, Andre?
The
Do you
Harold
know?
joke.
They're
Oh,
lesbians,
oh.
Harold.
Oh,
Yeah, it's actually a callback to
Oh,
I think
old-
the
this is
internet
better.
Tumblr joke.
2002 or something.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Oh, well,
Guys,
2002,
I mean, I'm making shit up.
I was in kindergarten.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Stop it.
Don't
Please
say
don't
that.
say that. Don't
Yeah.
say that.
Generous.
No, take that back.
I wasn't. I lied about my age. I was a high schooler in 2002. Just with me and my older sister, we were both high schoolers in 2000. Actually, yeah, we were high schoolers. I'm secretly 45. Black don't crack.
Yeah, wonderful.
You look amazing.
It's amazing.
It's I think it's the purple tie-dye. I think that's what it is.
Oh, I just looked this up. I love it.
Yeah. Harold, they're lesbians. Yeah. Lesbian Tumblr is a place. And like
someone had replied to the comment of just like they're great. They're such a great friendship moment. And
Yeah, it's like a sportsmanship
they're lesbians.
moment. It's like, no.
Stacey.
They're lesbians, Stacy.
Yeah. It was so great. Made me so happy.
Ah,
I love when that happens quite a bit.
often. Yep.
And it's very strange that people read that and feel compelled enough to comment because, like, I don't know, like, I've never been inspired by sportsmanship to be like, oh, that's so great. Like, I don't care.
Maybe the only one is those two guys sharing a gold medal. Like earlier,
That
I
was-
was like, "That's
that
Really
is-
the
Did I
nicest
tweet
thing I've
about it,
ever
though?
seen.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Still didn't tweet about it though."
exactly. Like, I was just like, good for y'all, but I'm not gonna put that energy into the world. So, but yeah, very, very strange. And yeah, I don't know why people feel that way, and then get it hilariously wrong. It's like, nope.
Yeah.
You need a little bit more information.
We're gonna have to make Stacy their lesbians shirts.
Please do.
That'd be nice.
Please do.
I
boy.
feel like I saw that and I can't even remember. Like, I honestly, goldfish brain, like, I see it and I just like don't remember it.
I think it was Meredith Cash who tweeted the photos of Kristen
Yeah, she had the
Lewis
photos.
and Sam Kerr. And yeah, I think you'll probably be able to find it because the way Twitter does their comments now, I think it'll probably be one of the top ones if you look at the thread, because it's just amazing.
Yeah, I think it's the first one.
Yeah, it's just so amazing.
No,
There's some good stuff in there.
Oh, man.
BFFs.
I just had to bring that up to you guys because it made me so happy today.
Oh wait,
It's-
one of these has a photo of sad Sam Kerr. I don't want to see this.
Yeah,
But
it's a sad Sam Kerr.
it gets better.
It definitely gets a
Sportsmanship
lot
at its
better.
best.
Because there's just so much sportsmanship in there.
Friendship has no boundaries. That's what Stacey said. Friendship has no boundaries.
Sure doesn't. She's not wrong. She's not wrong.
Win or lose, friends are still friends.
I cannot believe someone commented this on the Oh God, my side hurts. That is the funniest thing I've ever.
It was beautiful.
Oh.
It was beautiful. It was a great day on Twitter until the racism happened. But we're gonna ignore it.
Boy, the racism decided to happen hard. It was
Racism
just
is
like,
so
wow.
strong.
Just decided to come in and be the main character of Twitter out of nowhere.
Wait, Stacy responded to this comment saying,
Yep.
"So,
so am I.
am I what the big deal?"
Yeah. Stacey just didn't get it. I don't understand. But
She also somehow
Oh,
did.
Stacey.
yeah. Stacey contains multitudes. Okay. Leave her be.
It's a nice
That
lady.
is so funny. Friendship has no boundaries. Win or lose are still
Has no
friends.
boundaries.
We're just here to connect the young gays with the elder gays just through memes.
There you go. The way it should be done.
Is that what our new tag is for Galpel Sports? Uniting gays across generations.
I like it. That's a perfect mission statement. Could be a nonprofit
Man.
organization in no time.
Yeah.
I've been working in an office too long officially.
This is wow. That really
Courtney's still in
made
the
my day. That was so, I did not see that. I literally saw it and then I saw someone else that I follow quote tweet it for a second and I was like, there's a lot going on in my brain. And I was like, haha, people are being silly on the internet, but I missed Stacy's comment. But that is spectacular internet. Also because people are quote tweeting this guy said sports linked to so many great reflections. Friendship, whilst in competition, compassion, all good things.
Oh, I don't understand the need. I just don't.
Someone, this is what we should end on. Someone commented, just gals being pals.
There it is. There's the connect.
That's us. There you go.
That's what we're here for.
And if you don't get our name yet, I hope you do now.
There you go.
Internet.
Wink,
I don't
wink.
Wink, wink. Thank you guys so much for doing this. I'm gonna say if people don't know who you are because they're on our channel, although I think this is mostly you guys bringing folks in, if I'm being entirely honest. But
I doubt it. We're goofs
Yeah.
on the internet.
no, but go follow, subscribe, listen to Diaspora United. These two are amazing, and Coach Courtney keeps getting
Literally stop this
Mark.
propaganda.
Hashtag-
Stop this
hashtag Coach
propaganda.
Yes.
Hashtag
Stop
Coach
this
Steph.
Do it.
Stop this propaganda. I woke up and that was already in my mentions. I said, oh God.
Catching.
Do it. Do it. Oh,
you know,
thank you, Nikita. You're
U.S.
so
soccer
nice.
is gonna U.S. soccer is gonna reach out to you about a coaching course soon. Look out.
If someone did, I would literally laugh at the message haha, and then not respond. Get out of here.
This sounds like a scam.
Courtney, we need you. We need you.
Yeah.
You need to take these opportunities. The club, the federation needs you.
I
Save
will
them
literally
from
just-
themselves.
come in with a 352 propaganda.
Here for it. Let's go.
That's my or a 442 diamond propaganda.
That now we're talking. This needs to happen. A 442 diamond is like my mom's in my heart, and then the 442
And
diamond
that's
is
right next to that
it.
one.
Yeah, it's right
The
there.
other ventricle. Is
Yeah,
right next.
exactly. It's right there.
When it works well, it is a beauty.
Man,